the proposition. The proposition this afternoon is resolved that school year 2020 and 21 be pushed through. This proposition came into the fore because of the ongoing conflict and debate, not only in the corners of this country, but the debate resonates in the other corners of the world. Whether countries like the Philippines should prefer education over health. Because the proposition this afternoon is focused on the debate. Which do you prefer? Should it be education? Should it be health? This is the meat of the proposition for which our ladies here will intelligently debate. It was Confucius who said that a man who knows the truth is no equal to a man who loves the truth. This debate will be focused on what is the truth. It is through your researches, through your study, through your understanding of the issue that you will reveal the truth. And from this learning, you develop the critical learning process. And in the years to come, you will love the truth. In this debate, there will be winners, there will be losers. It is your ability to communicate. It is the weight of your persuasion and your conviction that will decide the fate of whose team wins. We here will listen, and the audience will listen, because we are here to judge. Thank you.
As we assigned for this afternoon, I declare this debate to proceed. I call on the first speaker of the affirmative, arguing on constitutionality for 7 minutes. Stop the speech.
Okay, good afternoon, people in this house, Mr. Moderator, Board of Judges, my fellow debaters, good afternoon. People say that, what can education do if students' health will be jeopardized? But we in the affirmative group believe that, based on Constitution, school year 2020-2021 should be pushed through. Why? First, education is a fundamental right enshrined in Article 26 of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights and Articles 13 and 14 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. While school closures are a necessary measure to halt the spread of COVID-19. And it must be remembered that education is a human right and states should employ all necessary measures to ensure its continuity in times of crisis. According to President Duterte on May 29, 2020, education will remain the administration's top priority despite of the current health emergency, as he through his support to the Department of Education's school opening plan for this year. Second, education plays a major role in growth and progress of society. It is one of the key components that can make or break a culture's advancement. If citizens of a society are educated, they can provide significant contributions in the field of arts, literature, science, technology, and others, and help establish a well-rounded and stimulating community. Moreover, You should be able to help the community by participating in projects to improve your neighborhood, such as organizing programs to aid the less fortunate citizens, encourage the children and teens to study, and other social activities. And according to Republic Act 10618, Section 3, which is the alternative delivery mode, it refers to the non-traditional education program recognized by the Department of Education, which applies a flexible philosophy in a curricular delivery program that includes non-formal and informal sources of knowledge and skill. An alternative delivery mode may include the use of facilitator-aided and interactive self-instructional print, audio-based learning material, videotapes, face-to-face structured learning groups, semi-structured and unstructured discussions, one-on-one tutorials, study groups and self-learning groups, demonstration sessions, home visits, mentoring, and remediation. Third, DepEd Alliance Education Continuity Plan with DOH Health Standards. Press release on May 27, 2020. The access to quality education remains a priority of the Philippine government. In ensuring that every Filipino child has access to education, the Department of Education is preparing measures to ensure that this fundamental right is unhampered and accessible to everyone, all while ensuring that children are provided utmost protection against the threat of COVID-19. In today's beat, COVID-19 virtual presser, Health Undersecretary Dr. Maria Rosario Singh Vergara, and Department of Education Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction, Diosdado San Antonio, discussed the government's plan for the continuation of the classes amid the new normal. With this clearly stated truth from our Constitution, we in the affirmative group supports the government to push through the opening classes for this year. Mr. Moderator, I'm ready for the interpolation.
Thank you. We now have the interpretation by the native side for 5 minutes.
Here's my first question. What is the most important, life or education?
Okay, for that question, of course, both are important because both are a human right and we should have those both.
Okay. If both is important, life and education, then why is the government putting the lives of our personal or learners at risk?
Okay, as I said, under the Republic Act number 10618, which is the alternative delivery mode, we should not focus only on face-to-face structured learning. That's why I mentioned about the use of audio material, videotapes,
Thank you.
just like virtual.
That
Okay.
under the Constitution, 1987 Constitution, Republic Act of the Philippines states that the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. So talking about the alternative mode of learning, talking about the online, it is not all learners are capable or can access to internet. So how can we provide quality education to the learners?
Okay, thank you for that. I also mentioned about the home visits, mentoring, and remediation, and also we can use the modules that can be given by the teachers to the
Thank you.
students.
Using the modules, not all learners are capable of learning by their own selves. You made mention in your speech about education is a major role in the growth of the country. Thus, education can only be achieved in school. How will the government or DepEd measure the progress or achievement of the learners?
Well, the progress, it is monitored by the teachers. So that the Department of Education can ensure that every children can access to quality education. So
okay.
yes.
It all means that you are exposing the teachers because you are talking about monitoring.
Okay, thank you.
In what way you will monitor the learners?
Well,
The face-to-face manner?
yes, face-to-face manner, but it is monitored. And if I were the principal of this school, I won't let my teacher to go out of the field when he or she is feeling sick. So I will, okay, let me finish first. I will assure that my teacher is safe and COVID-free to interact with another student.
So remember that the virus cannot be seen. So how can you assure that the teachers are safe?
Well, we have the equipment also to check, and yes, again, it is monitored. It is monitored, and the school should make sure that the teacher is safe with that.
How
With
will you?
the proper protocols to be followed and the sanitation as well.
The first senator who was affected with the virus was the Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Mixover said that he was infected though he always wear a mask, observe social distancing, and he also had alcohol on his pocket always, but still he was infected with the virus. So how can you sure that the teacher will not be infected with the virus if the virus cannot be seen?
Sorry, time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now take a seat, Ms. Speaker.
Thank you.
Can I have the speech? So the speech of the first speaker on either side arguing on non-constitutionality.
I tend to agree that sending children to school yearly would mean granting them the rights to education, a practice that ensures the development of a fully rounded human being. But I see things differently now. Now that we're facing this COVID-19 that affected millions of people already around the globe. A pleasant afternoon to the Board of Judges, Mr. Moderator, city officials, organizers of this activity, my dear Bayawanas. We strongly disagree for school year 2020 to 2021 be pushed through due to the following reasons. First, life is only one, and we should not bargain this with education. Opening this school year is an contrary of Article 2 of Human Rights Act that states nobody, including the government, can try to end your life. It also means that the government should take appropriate measures to safeguard life and make laws to protect you, and in some circumstances, by taking steps to protect you if your life is at risk. Friends, pushing through school year 2020 to 2021 is just putting the lives of our school children, parents, teachers, and other workers to a great risk. Please consider these facts. The virus are not seen by our naked eye. Literally, we do not know where these viruses are. We don't have yet the vaccine, right? According to World Health Organization or WHO, people aging 19 below and 50 above are prone to get infected with this disease. Now, think of this. 19 years old and below are the ages of our students. And these are some people aging 50 years old and above, or the ones bringing to and featuring their grandchildren from school when both parents of these children are working. Second, when classes open, more people will be going out from their respective homes. And we all know that the more we are exposed outside, the higher the chances to get infected. And when this happens, more patients are sent to our hospitals and healthcare units. Hence, we will be overusing our healthcare workers and other frontliners. At present, most of them are already work beyond the hours required of them. Enough rest are taken away from them. How much more if we're going to open classes, the teachers with other local officials are going out for the delivery and for the retrieval of our modules. Third, the opening of school year 2020 to 2021 contradicts the purpose of the 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, Article 14, Section 1, that reads, "The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels, and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all." DepEd maybe is creative enough of introducing to us the blended learning for this year, of which others also wants to give a try. The plan is good, but friends, let's accept this that there are so many plans and even laws that we have implemented that are not applicable in Visayas and in some parts of the Philippines. Most of them adopted with what is the reality in Manila only. For example, the no bank ride policy, which is really not practical for the people in the Bayawan, where some barangays used to have habal-habal as the only means of transportation. The same thing with the DepEd's program of blended learning. This is a very difficult and not applicable to all students in the country. With the new plans of DepEd, how can we provide quality education to the students with such spirited learning? We know from the beginning that there is already process with new modalities of learning. Truly, it contradicts the purpose of providing quality education to students as stipulated in 1987 Constitution of the Republic Act of the Philippines. With these reasons, I therefore conclude that we should not open school year 2020 to 2021 because if we do, this shall be the worst school year of education. For DepEd is not ready for this, and the government is not ready for this. Let's stop the class for a year and allow everyone, including the government, to prepare for the program. Thank you. Mr. Moderator, I'm now ready for interpolation.
Thank you very much for that. We now have the interpolation with the first speaker affirmative for 5 minutes.
Okay. My first question is, according to your research, you are saying that the opening of classes is a threat to students and teachers,
Of course.
even if there is a learning modalities provided.
Because the Constitution states, the 1987 Constitution, Republic of the Philippines states that the state shall protect or promote the rights of citizens to quality education. Talking about quality education. So through the modalities or learning modalities, we cannot provide quality education to the learners.
How can you be so sure about that? That we
Because,
must have a quality education through the learning modalities?
Because let's take this as an example. In a real life situation, in a classroom or in our traditional way of teaching, even the teacher discusses in front, there are still students who does not pay attention, listen, even behave, even if there is a teacher in front. How much more in home or at home when no one looks after them?
So you are really against the opening of classes this school year.
Of course.
And you are also against the continuity of learning which will be provided by the DepEd in many different ways, just like the virtual classes, LDMs, and what we call the alternative delivery mode.
Of course.
So far, that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We now move on to the second speaker of the affirmative, arguing on beneficiality. 7 minutes.
In social media and from the people around, opening of classes has no benefits to the students. Only the risk and danger being infected of coronavirus. However, we on the formative side strongly believe the benefits if school year 2020-2021 be pushed through. According to James Saavedra, March 30, 2020, one of the greatest threats in our lifetime to global education is the gigantic educational crisis. As March 28, 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic is causing more than 1.6 billion of children and youth to be out of school in 161 countries, including Philippines. It is close to 80% of the world's enrolled students. The percentage that cannot read and ask at the age of 10 stood at 53% of children in low and middle income countries before the outbreak started. The benefits of opening of classes amidst this pandemic are the following. First, it refreshes learning instead of losing it. The appropriate strategy in our country is to use all the possible delivery modes with your infrastructure that exists today. Use online tools to assure lessons, videos, tutorials, and other resources are available for some students, and probably most to teachers. Radio and TV are very powerful tools. The advantage that we have today is through social networks, WhatsApp, SMS, Ministry of Education can communicate effectively with parents and teachers to provide guidelines, instructions, and structure of learning process. Using content delivery by radio and TV. Remote learning is not only online learning, but about mixed media learning, with an objective of reaching as many as possible today. Second, decrease out of school youth instead of increasing it. Maintaining the engagement of children, particularly young secondary students, is critical. Out of school youth rates is very still high in our country, and a long period of disengagement can result further increase. World Vision has a latest survey of numbers of out-of-school youth recently. 9% of Filipinos aged 6 to 24 years old are not in school, and almost 1 out of 10, despite the slight decrease since 2016. This is total an alarming figure of 3.6 million of out-of-school children and youth in our country alone. Third, it will develop social skills. It is about learning to be a citizen and developing social skills. That is why it is important to stay connected with the school by any means necessary. For all students, this is also time to develop social emotional skills and learn about to be a citizen to our society. It is a role to parents and family, which should always be extremely important, is critical in task that. So, it is a lot of help that the Ministry of Education provides, working through mass media, should be go to parents. Radio and TV, SMS messages can be all used to provide tips and advise them on how to be a better sport for their children. At night, it is not used will become dull, so is the brain. If it is not used to think, analyze, and maximize it through learning, it will become dull. Therefore, we at the formative side in favor to opening classes in this year.
We now have the speech alternative arguing on non-beneficiality.
We are used to believe that the more you learn, the more you earn. It became a motivation to every Filipino to strive harder for a better future. A future on which in every famished stomach, there's food to take. So for us students, education cannot wait and must continue every year. But I was wrong, for in the world we have now, the only safe place is our home. We are in a battle of which our opponent is invisible, attacking everyone's health. If health is at risk, education can wait. Pushing through school year 2020 to 2021 is not beneficial for all of us because it is just an additional burden to all of us. For us students, we will be adopting the new way of learning, the blended learning in particular. Thus, we will be adjusting to the new styles of learning other than the traditional face-to-face learning that we used to have. Parents as well need to give more time in teaching and in helping their children in understanding the day's lesson from their online classes and from their modules. Good for those parents who are just staying at home. And what about if both parents are working? It means they have to hire someone to sit down with their children. Much more to parents who are not capable of assisting their children. In fact, there are 2,317,572 illiterate adults as of 2015. As read in World Data Atlas Philippine Topic Education Illiteracy. And although not all of these may have children to assist, but still, based on the data, I could say that opening the school year is not beneficial to both the parents and students. Moreover, on the part of the teachers, it would be of great adjustments for them, for teachers who go to different places to deliver and collect the modules. Unlike before, that they only have to report on their station. And what about for teachers who have health issues, who are prone to the virus? See, opening the school year is truly a burden to all of us. Second, the government can save in almost all of our resources. Our government right now have lots on its plates. Transport problems still unsolved. Economy is hardly given a helping hand. More overseas Filipino workers stranded and forced to return home with no jobs. People still getting COVID-19 and now dengue is starting to strike again. With the force of our government right now, I can say that it's not enough to keep everyone safe if school year 2020 to 2021 to be pushed through. Do you know how many from our police department died because of the virus? There are 335 who are confirmed cases and 9 deaths with 565 recoveries as of July 16, 2020. And if we will open the school year, it means more of them will be deployed and all of their health are at risk. Now that the cases are constantly rising, our government needs lots of contact tracers. Third, it's about time to discover more of our skills and learn to structure our time. For example, if for the past years you have a bucket list of things to do, but you failed due to the lack of time, then I think if school year will be postponed, this will be the right time to accomplish them all, excluding traveling if it's part of your list. As Bayan experienced the enhanced community quarantine, followed with a general community quarantine, we discover new skills within us. Simple things at home that were neglected for years were practiced. I am referring to gardening, cooking, and many others. And we learn to manage our time. So, if classes will be postponed, it will still be beneficial for all of us because we can use this time for doing and discovering new things. Instead of being bored, we have to structure our time. Structuring time means a matter of time management, and time management must be practiced to have it mastered. Therefore, pushing through school year 2020 to 2021 is not beneficial for parents, teachers, and even us, students. Mr. Moderator, I am now ready for the interpellation.
Thank you. We now have the interpretation by the affirmative. I remind everyone to please maintain courtesy, at the same time to avoid questions in the loop. Thank you.
My first question is, so in your research, you are clearly state that school year 2020-2021 is really risky.
Yes, because we are talking about the life here, our life here.
And also, are you in favor of risking your learning for that?
Of course no.
So you are against in the form of learning system in a new normal competitive ed.
Yes.
So meaning you are not enrolled in LESF.
I'm enrolled because, as a presidential spokesperson, Harry Roque said, that enrollment will proceed because whether it be face-to-face or blended, you have to enroll your children because there has to be a basis for assessing whether or not your children will progress to the next level.
So your parents signed it.
Yes.
So you're one of us. We like that school year 2020-2021 should be pushed through.
Classes will be pushed through, but not this time that there's a pandemic.
But why did your parents sign the LESF that given now in this time?
Can you please repeat your question?
You said that classes in this time can't be pushed through. But why did your parents sign the LESF that given in this time?
We now have the third speaker of the affirmative arguing on practicability.
Okay, once again, good afternoon people in this house. The controversy of the opening classes this school year has made the public to have their different opinions. Some say it cannot be done, and some say it can't be done, and some are left undecided. We in affirmative side strongly believe that school year 2020-2021 be pushed through. How? Through LESF or Learner Enrollment Survey form provided by DepEd. The administering of enrollment shall be done remotely through messengers and other means of electronic submissions. Those who don't have any of this, parents will have their forms of their schools or barangay halls and completely filled up. Their forms will be submitted to the same places. Here are some of the forms submitted by parents. Second, follow safety protocols given by DOH. 1. Sick students, teachers, and other staff should not come to school. Second, school should enforce regular hand washing with safe water and soap, alcohol rub, and hand sanitizer or chlorine solution, and at a minimum daily disinfection and cleaning of the school surfaces. Third, school should provide water, sanitation, and waste management facilities and follow environment clearing and discontamination procedures. 4. School should promote social distancing, a term to apply certain actions that are taken to slow down the spread of highly contagious disease, including limiting large group of people coming together. 5th, staggering the beginning and end of school day. 6. Children's desks or student chairs is at least 1 meter apart. 7. Avoid unnecessary touching. And 3rd, LDM or learning delivery modalities. Ways to teach educators can apply to ensure the quality education can still be provided across the country. The LDMs include face-to-face interactions, distance learning, blended learning, and homeschooling. With face-to-face interaction currently limited due to physical distancing measures, distance learning is a viable option as it employs the use of online materials, printed modules, and lesson broadcasts over television and radio. A very familiar saying says, "If there's a will, there's a way." A person who is willing is easy to convince no matter how hard the situation may be. But the unwilling person has one reason to say no, no matter how easy and favorable the situation may be, which is covered here today, the willing and the willing. Thank you.
Thank you. We have interpretation by the negative. Whether or not pushing the school year is doable.
So good afternoon to you. You look good and we're just
Thus, implementing protocols will assure the safety of the learners.
Yes.
The social distancing provide 100% assurance that you will not be infected with the virus.
Okay, any place is not safe if you are not following the protocols given by the DOH.
Okay, but even Miguel Migzubi, they follow the protocol that was being provided by the DOH, but even he himself got infected by the virus.
We're not sure about that.
We are sure about that because it is featured in the ABS-CBN station.
Is there a question?
I am
Or
just
point of
trying
fact?
to make it clear, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, follow it up.
Then, my next question is, how many is our enrollment in the school year compared to last year? Same? Do you have any statistical data that will show the number of enrollees for this school year and the last year? So you will open school year in the midst of pandemic, but it is too risky out there. So you will risk your life with the willingness of education.
Okay, again, any place is safe if you are following the safety protocols given by the DOH.
But it's better to prevent than to be cured, right?
Yes.
And now you're opening your school year 2020 to 2021 and you want it face to face.
No.
But you said it on your speech that it is okay if there is hand sanitation and other protection measures there. But do you know that it is so risky out there?
But I also mentioned about the LDMs.
Can you please elaborate your answer about the LDM?
Let's just not focus about the face-to-face, but I mentioned about the LDMs.
But it is always mentioned in your speech that it is okay to have a face-to-face kind of learning. But it is my time to interpolate because I can choose whatever question I can ask. Okay.
Pardon?
Can we have it again, Ms. Peter?
So you will open school year in the midst. So you will open the schools in the midst of pandemic.
Yes.
Is it safe?
Yes.
How sure you are?
According to my speech, the DOH, we need to follow the safety protocols given by the DOH.
Does it mean that if you
follow the protocols provided, we will be safe. Because as I said, the Senate Majority Leader who was Miguel Miss Subini followed the protocols, but even he himself got infected by the virus.
Let's not just focus about the face-to-face. I agree the LDMs.
Okay, so alternative learning modalities it is, but can that provide quality education at all?
Yes.
Sorry, time is up. We consume the time. You know how the constructive speech of the negative arguing on non-practicability, meaning pushing through the school year is simply not doable.
You will either step forward into growth or step backward into safety by Abraham Maslow. A pleasant afternoon once again. For the past few months, we are fighting an unseen enemy by our naked eye. An enemy who does not choose its victims, and most likely, those who have low immune system have greater possibility to become COVID-19 victims. Despite of the threat with the virus, the Department of Education wants school year 2020 to 2021 to be pushed through, which is not practicable due to the following reasons. First, parents are financially hard up. In order to fight COVID-19, President Duterte declared the whole Philippines under state of calamity and imposed enhanced community quarantine throughout the island of Luzon. During that time, only private establishments providing basic necessities and such related to food and medicine production and flexible work arrangement are allowed to open. Other private establishments are required to temporarily close their physical offices during ECQ period and adopt a work from home arrangement. But for casual workers, work from home is not applicable. These steps severely affected them, for they are in no work, no pay situation. The statistical data of CEIC, 17.1% was our unemployment rate, equivalent to 7.3 million workers as of April 2020. Now that they lost their source of living, it means no food for their family. The aid package from the government is only enough for their basic necessities, and education for their children is not included. Moreover, only 17.1 million beneficiaries from the targeted 18 million low income have received the Social Amelioration Program or SAP of our government in the first batch nationwide. Second, government is not yet financially sustainable for the program. On March 25, 2020, President Duterte signed the Republic Act 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, which give him additional power to reallocate, realign, and reprogram the 2020 national budget. Upon realigning, the Department of Education found out that 8.2 billion pesos was snatched from the agency's funding and that 60,000 student beneficiaries will be affected because 1.4 million pesos were cut from the voucher program of high school. That's according to Senate Committee on Basic Education Chairman Sherwin Gatchalian. Now that DepEd's budget were cut, the Department of Education is asking for financial assistance to the government in the midst of pandemic. But the program of DepEd requires big budget, yet our government can only give less due to the raging pandemic, aiding millions of poor Filipinos and preparing for the new normal. In the estimation by the Department of Education, 23 million pesos is needed to provide teachers with their own laptops, excluding the need to hire additional personnel to support the shift to distance learning and expanding the technical capacity of teachers to adopt new technology. ACT Group noted that DepEd's budget should be increased with 350 billion pesos as additional budget at the minimum. But in the Tatak ng Pagbabago 2020, the Pre-SONA Forum last July 15, 2020, carrying the theme Patunay ng Paghilinga broadcasted in the PTV News at 11 a.m. with the Human Development and Poverty Reduction Cluster and Participatory Department Cluster, DILG Secretary Anyo said that 10.91 billion pesos is the only allocated budget to fund DepEd's program in the midst of pandemic. It only shows that the government is looking to fund the blended learning of DepEd and putting to risk the lives of millions of children, teachers, personnel, and consequently endangering public health. Third, healthcare system of the country is very weak. For a country of almost 109 million, it has only 89,000 bed capacity and only 1,000 plus intensive care units intended for COVID-19 patients. In the corona disease COVID-19 situation report number 188, we already have 80,448 cases and 1,932 deaths with 26,110 recoveries. If we push through school year 2020 to 2021, it might be a call for a second wave of this virus. And knowing that, as of April 8, 152 doctors and 63 nurses have been infected by the virus, with 17 deaths. That is according to the Department of Health. In terms of 2020 budget, 176.47 billion pesos is the only allocated budget for the Department of Health. With such dire situation, we cannot survive a greater magnitude of infection. With the facts that I have stated, I therefore conclude that pushing through school year 2020 to 2021 while securing everyone's safety is impossible to do together in times of pandemic. The virus is deadly, so pick up your senses, because it is 1,000 times better to have common sense without education than to have education without common sense. So I strongly believe that it is not practicable to push through school year 2020 to 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have the interpretation for the affirmative?
Okay, my first question is, can learning be possible at home?
Yes, it could be. Because learning starts at home, right?
So you are in favor of LTMs?
No, I would never be in favor of that, because that will only mean that risking the lives of our children. Because you are talking about the learning alternative modalities, right? This is not just only learning at home, but some would be able, or we can access it in the internet. And some, just like in our place, we don't have that internet connection. We can't access the internet connection, so we will be able to go out in our place to connect with the prison Wi-Fi, because that is what we call in our area. So we can connect there. So by doing that, we're putting our lives at risk by simply going outside.
The LTMs does not require internet.
Yes, it does not require those. Yes, I know that it does not really require internet connection. But let me let's put this in this way. In the books that you are reading, there are some lessons that you cannot understand. So what will you do? Of course, you will seek for help, right? So through asking help, you are already exposing yourself to the virus, asking to your neighbors, going outside your house, or simply accessing in the internet. It is too risky out there, and the budget is really a problem right now.
My next question is, there is module and modules are free. How can it affect the financial of the parents?
Of course, for example, yes, the module is free, but just like what I said, if you don't understand one lesson there, so you will seek for help, and most likely you can access it in the internet. So, in our area, 5 pesos is equal to 1 hour. So equivalent to, if the lesson is so very long and we can't understand it all along, so we will go on to extend until if we will be spend 20 pesos per day. 20 pesos per day is equal to 5 days is equal to 100. That 100 pesos, we will be able to use that to buy for our food, 1 kilo of rice, another thing for necessities, or for our dried fish, or any other things that we can buy just to support our needs. Because at now, we need is food. We need the only thing that we need right now is for us to survive. And education for now is not needed at all.
My next question, do you want your learning to be stagnant?
Of course, I don't want. But it doesn't mean that if we will not push through this school year 2020 to 2021, the learning will be stagnant. Because learning does not only found in the books, in the internet, or at school. Our experiences is the best teacher.
Do you have any other questions there, Ms. Peter? That's all? Thank you very much. Well done, debaters. We now arrive at the last stage, and it will be the time for rebuttal speeches. We are giving 8 minutes for each speech, for both negative and affirmative. The role of the rebuttal, by the way, is to give a summation of all the arguments of her team and to squash the arguments of the other team for the very last time. Okay, so we have the speaker of the negative to first deliver her rebuttal speech for 8 minutes.
Safety first before anything else. Your Honor, Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon. We, from the negative side, strongly disagree to the idea of opening the class this school year 2020-2021 due to the recent snag, which is the pandemic. Sending the children to school is necessary and rightful for them to be polished. However, the most rightful way to be more knowledgeable is to let them live and enjoy life. And this can be possible in many ways, other than sending them to school during this time when the whole world is still looking for the cure of the COVID-19 virus. At the middle of this pandemic, Deputy Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones announced the opening of class this school year. She said, and I quote, "It will recall at the height of Marawi uprising, our call was education must continue. In the midst of coronavirus crisis, our call remains the same. Education must continue, whether face-to-face, virtual, with or without physically going to school. What we assure our learners, parents, teachers, and the general public is that any decision we will make for the continuation of learning will have their health, safety, and well-being as primary consideration. We shall overcome." She handles the current situation the way how she handled the situation during the Marawi surge, which is obviously arbitrary. Marawi surge was incomparable to this current pandemic. We are fighting for us to heal, without the knowledge of what the enemy looks like and how to fight against it, not even through vaccines for prevention. We are fighting every day, which made us tougher and usual. However, the lockdowns and community quarantine are not that reliable to descend the number of victims infected every day. Statistically, as of July 26, the total number of confirmed cases reaches 80,448 and has struck dead Filipinos up to almost 2,000 in total. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte said, "It's useless to be talking about opening of classes. Para sa akin, bakuna muna. No vaccine, no class." The statement of the president took the sympathy of the netizens. In fact, almost 7 million students are not yet enrolled. House Bill 58 states that the commitment of the Philippines is to promote and protect the right of children to quality education and to be protected from abuse. It is enshrined in the 1987 Constitution. We all know that education takes everything to success and a must to be productive. Yet, when it puts life at risk, it's all worth it to leave everything behind. If life is at risk, education can take it all. So why would we keep pushing school year 2020-2021 to start with different plan setups? Face-to-face, virtual or blended learning are to be part of the school's new normal setups, wherein the educators, parents, and even the government itself is not prepared for this. We have no budget, we have no vaccine. On some point, DepEd should postpone this school year instead of suggesting virtual learning, knowing not all students are equipped with gadgets and suitable internet connection. Lucky for those students who are well-grounded, sorry for those who are not. Normal days at school, like teachers explaining in front of the students, may be too tired which students are claiming, but it is the best way for the student to learn faster. Sometimes, students can even do things on their own. How much more if they read individually? It is undeniable fact that every student has different level of IQ or intelligent quotient. Some students learn independently while some do not. Furthermore, if we consider face-to-face class we are actually and obviously putting everyone's life at risk, knowing asymptomatic cases exist. During the fifth SONA of the President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, he said, "Until COVID-19 vaccine is available, I will not allow the traditional face-to-face teaching or learning unless the risk of exposure to the rest are eliminated. I cannot and I will not put to the rest health and lives of our students and teachers." About 2 weeks ago, I seem to have said that I will allow the face-to-face classes to resume. But we're talking actually of January 2021. Because why? Because my thinking is that by September, we would have the vaccine. See, even the president himself didn't agree of having a face-to-face class of this school year. Not until we will have the vaccine. We're not here to disobey the law, but we're here to make reality more vivid, that the whole world is suffering. We are here to speak that there are plans and decisions by lawmakers which are really not applicable to all. Opening school year 2020-2021 on August 24 is not a necessity for it abuse Article 2 of Human Rights Act, put our health at risk and contradicts the 1987 Constitution on providing quality education. The plan is not beneficial to us, for it is an additional burden to all. It's not practicable because parents are financially hard up, government not financially sustainable yet for the program. Lastly, we want to open the school year because we want to be competitive, but remember that this pandemic changes the game of life. Even if the classes of this school year will not open, still education exists, not only in our room or our lesson, not only in our school, but in all aspects of life. So why not stop for a year and use the time to be reflective and collective actions with awesome effects on our present situation. Your Honor, Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, all has been stated and it ends up that school year 2020-2021 should not be pushed through, whatever form it is. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have the response, rebuttal by the affirmative.
Any place in the world is an opportunity to learn, and men and women are merely learners. Look at these pictures. Can you erase it? Picture number one, this is picture number one. Picture number one is education. Picture number two is also education. The only difference is that picture number two is formal education, which culminates in the achievements of a degree, professional qualifications, and diploma. Whereas picture number one is informal education or learnings from outside the classroom. What I am trying to say is that we could push school year 2020-2021 in many ways. That is what we are trying to defend here. Speaker number one, number two, and number three, on the negative side, reasoned out that this school year should not be pushed through because the President has made a statement saying, no vaccine, no classes. But that is for face-to-face classroom setup. And we should always remember that it is only one of the many options that the Department of Education has to push this school year. And since it is currently limited due to physical distancing measures, the Department of Education has designed an alternative for that situation. The learning delivery modalities, for example, which is being stated in my third speaker. This allows students to have access to education at the comfort of their homes while still having the time to socialize or help with the family chores. It's like blending both picture number one and picture number two, or formal and informal education. All the while, learning is a continuous process and is not only limited to the four corners of the classroom. We, the Filipinos, are resilient. We never give up and we adjust to any situation easily. If we want to learn and never stop to learn, then we must grab every opportunity for learning for a sustainable future. Malcolm X once said, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the ones who prepared for it today. Thank you.